Hello, dear Aries. This is your... Oops. Hello, dear Aries. This is December 2020 for anyone who has their sun, moon, or rising. In particular, rising. Always check your rising sign for the most correct predictions if you know your time of birth. And I'm your astrologer, Lada from astrolada.com. And the big events in December, of course, is that Jupiter, the great benefactor as we know it, is moving to the sign of Capricorn. Once a year Jupiter moves signs and a big shift happens in regards to where new beginnings can start for us and where we can receive blessings and help from the universe, because Jupiter is known as the planet of spring. It's warm and moist. It brings the conditions of new birth. It brings the conditions of new ideas and better, just like spring brings improved conditions for everyone, so does Jupiter. Wherever it moves brings improved conditions for us. And it's moving where Saturn has been already for 2 years. And as many of you know, Aries might have felt, especially if it's your Aries rising or sun or moon as well, that Saturn for the last 2 years, having been in your 10th house of career, you see, Capricorn is in the 10th place from Aries, that you had a lot of heavy responsibilities with career, with duties, with worldly duties. Even if you're not in a specific career, then your worldly responsibilities were really quite heavy and have increased consistently over the last 1 or 2 years. And for some of you, it might have delayed career results, or while asking for a lot of efforts, 2-3 times more efforts, but the results of those efforts have been slow to show, because Saturn slows everything wherever it goes. Also, some of you might have felt strong dissatisfaction with their career, almost like your work is like a daily grinder, because Saturn lowers down the vibration and makes something feels onerous, like a lot of effort basically. And even if you love your work, it might have felt a bit too much, or it might have felt like it's taking its toll, you know. And for some of you who were not in the right career or not in the right career, Saturn might have totally stalled down or slowed down opportunities for career and blocked promotions or getting ahead. But for others that have been and are in the right careers and are very dedicated, Saturn just increases the responsibilities and might have brought you actually even more authority and more position of taking decisions and responsibility for others, but again at the expense probably at your private life, at your ability to do what you want and take your own personal initiatives and focus on yourself. And instead, all the energy, all the mobilization of your resources has been towards achieving certain goals, towards career. And Saturn in the 10th house might have also indicated like a very strict boss around you. For example, an old authority figure, someone that you have to comply with, to answer to, and someone who is very authoritarian and very demanding, possibly someone who's been really expecting and from you a lot more, or also every time you kind of veer off for a little bit, you know, there'll be Saturn is kind of a bit as the Punisher as we know it, and might have, for example, you might have seen it as criticism from bosses, or not too much recognition from bosses, for example, as well. That's another way it can manifest. And if you're your own boss, Saturn having been in the 10th house, it's very often time when you're restructuring a business, when you're trying to put more efficient structures to streamline through some inefficiency when it comes to your career. And because again, some kind of dissatisfaction might arise where you see the problems in your career and Saturn wants you to work through them and fix those. And now though, Jupiter is joining there with Saturn, and any problems you might have had For the past 1-2 years with career, with authority figures, sometimes even it's problems with father figure when Saturn is in the 10th house. With bosses or with institutions of some sort, that things have been dragging down there, things have been requiring a lot of your efforts. Well, now with Jupiter joining that Saturn in your 10th house, the whole 2020 you're going to witness, starting gradually from December. From the very beginning of December, Jupiter goes into Capricorn. Maybe you won't see immediately the results. Maybe first we have to go through the eclipse with Jupiter towards the end of December on the 26th. And then you're going to start seeing how the environment of your career is starting to improve. How if you've been working hard on certain projects or in regards to your reputation and worldly recognition, now you're going to get the rewards. Now it's going to be the year 2020, maybe not immediately in December again, but that's an overview almost for the whole 2020. That now you're going to see how you're rewarded for your efforts, how some of you can get a promotion, recognition, a much better job. If you've been in a career that's wrong for you with Jupiter entering the 10th house, you will receive the right direction, you will receive the right opportunity for career. For many areas, new projects will appear that they feel passionate and excited about, because Jupiter brings joy with it. Jupiter brings not only opportunities, but such that that feel close to your heart, that bring you meaning, and it's all happening in regards to your career. So I'm very excited for you, Aries. The whole 2020 will be very demanding on you, starting with December already. You still have to put a lot of hard effort. Saturn is still in your 10th house and continues in December and months ahead in 2020. But Jupiter finally says, now those hard efforts are going to give the results. And by the way, I explained much more about Jupiter and Saturn in the 10th house and all the position for 2020 in my 2020 video horoscopes, which is $9.99. They're out already. It's an hour and a half for each sign. So grab your sign. I've never had a single refund for 10,000 sold videos on the yearly horoscope so far. So hopefully you can enjoy that one. Let's continue with December. Except Jupiter entering Capricorn, let's see what else is happening. Let me see the calendar for 2019 in December. This is basically an a part of the 2019 calendar, and the 2020 calendar is out as well. It's $20 only for the next 2 weeks. It's 118 pages. It's interactive. If you click here, for example, on full moon in Gemini, it will take you to the explanation of it, and you have day by day exactly what's happening astrologically. So you can grab your 2021, but let's focus on December. As we said, the first important event is Jupiter is entering Capricorn, and at the same time, Jupiter is becoming invisible at the start of December, which means that the results might not be immediately visible for what I told you about Jupiter in the 10th house of those opportunities for career. When Jupiter is invisible, and it's going to be invisible the whole December and big part of January. So while it's invisible, what happens is that Jupiter goes to counsel with the Sun. So this is when you get ideas, most likely, especially around the eclipse. You see the solar new moon annual eclipse in Capricorn, 4 degrees. It's happening with Jupiter conjunct the Sun. That's a very important eclipse because it will plant the seeds of new ideas in regards. Maybe you won't see immediately the results. Maybe it will be like you hear about something, an idea comes to you, you dream about something, a thought comes to you, or the first seeds of opportunity starts appearing. And in regards to your career, so that's going to be around Christmas, around the 26th of December, maybe a week before, a week after. But something will start shifting in your career from then on because of this eclipse. And by the way, you might have to first let go of something. Because when Jupiter becomes invisible, it means something is ending. And it's becoming invisible in your 10th house. So maybe some career project will first terminate or will complete now in December. I'm running ahead for the next year. So maybe first you complete, you put finishing, and you get done with certain career projects or with certain career circumstance. Maybe a boss will disappear. Maybe a career project will disappear first. Maybe one job will disappear from your life. So it can make space for those new powerful opportunities that Jupiter will bring to you throughout 2020, starting with the eclipse here on the 26th, when the first glimpses of what those opportunities will be. So this is a period, a big time in December, where it's more like you think within you, you're waiting for inspiration, and you're looking around for those opportunities that can come, and believe me, they will come, especially after the 26th onwards. Another important thing is that Mercury is entering on the 9th into Sagittarius. And that's your 9th house, Aries, which immediately means that you'll be wherever Mercury goes, you're busy talking, speaking, with writing, spoken projects in regards to that area of your life. Or in the 9th houses, some of you might have a trip, for example, to faraway country, or be busy communicating with foreigners, with people from different social environments, from 9th house is any people that are far away from us, from a different state, from a different town. They're not familiar people, so a lot of communications with such, and these are quite mind-opening communications, almost like some advice you can receive from others, but also others will ask advice from you, because the 9th house is the house of the teacher. So we've been focused a lot in December, because Mercury stays from the 9th of December almost till the end in that 9th house, on reading, writing, speaking about higher knowledge. If, for example, if some of you are subscribed to something like astrology classes, or to some lectures on self-help and growth, or like Mind Valley type of thing, your mind might be really preoccupied with expansion, with knowledge, with seeing a higher perspective. You might be writing about that. Some of you might be busy with a lot of teaching projects, for example, or promoting projects. 9th house is promotion, teaching, inspiring others. If you're not someone who is such a figure who does those things, you will be watching and reading and speaking about such topics, high-minded topics, about opportunities, And some of you might even be reading and exploring different sources, might start getting interested in studying something else, like different qualifications, to learn some different knowledge and skill and theory, which is what the 9th house is. Because, as I said, Jupiter in the 10th is preparing you for powerful new beginnings in your career, for such a big impact on others, for a big new beginning in your social status. The 10th house sometimes is also marriage for some people, like a big shift in your marriage status, married to single, single to married type of thing, with both Jupiter and Saturn in the 10th house. But this is the year 2020 when you'll be crowned for your efforts and in the public eye. But more for that in the 2020 videos that are $9.99 for each sign. Okay, then we continue with, there are lots of different transits, but let's see the more important ones. Jupiter trine Uranus. And Uranus, Aries, for you is in the 2nd house, and Jupiter is trining it from the 10th house. And it's not only on the 15th, the whole month is under the influence of Jupiter trine Uranus. It's exact on the 15th, but it takes 10 days before, 10 days after, you can feel the influence of Jupiter trine Uranus, because those planets move very slowly. And this is fantastic, because Jupiter, as we said, is opportunity. Uranus is something new. It's in the 2nd house. So some idea to make new money, for new source of income, will come to you, which will be connected also to promoting you further in your career, which will be connected to some career opportunity, but it brings also monetary opportunities. And again, you might not be able to start it probably till the sun enters Capricorn as well, your 10th house Aries, maybe after the eclipse there on the 25th, but the ideas are coming in this month, in December. Some financial fluke or opportunity can come, especially such ones that's connected to new technologies, which is what Uranus is, which is connected to social media, which is connected to large groups of people. And also it's a very, Jupiter and Uranus are both planets of higher knowledge. And some kind of higher knowledge, some kind of wisdom can become a source of increased reputation for you down the line, and a source of increased financial rewards as well. But definitely something like a fluke financially can come, like a good idea as well. Then we continue further on. Is that Saturn becomes invisible as well in your 10th house. This 10th house is quite busy. And what does that mean? Again, The 10th house is your career, reputation. In worst case scenario, it can, for example, mean that you can end certain job or certain career, or and you kind of Saturn retreats from this, or certain stability in your career can disappear, or certain commitment, because Saturn is commitment, perseverance. When it becomes invisible, this kind of commitment and perseverance might weaken, so it can be reevaluated while Saturn is invisible in the underworld. So you can, when it emerges very close with Jupiter in January and February, you will be reborn with those new ideas, with this new direction. So for a little bit, some of you might lose kind of direction and the view where it's heading in regards to career, but it's only short and temporary. In the best case scenario, it can mean that some responsibility and heavy burden, or some project that you've been working hard on, is finally completing, and you're seeing the results of it towards the middle and later part of December. That's what I wish for most of you. For some of you, it can mean like some authority figure, like a boss is disappearing or going away, or if you're your own boss, some responsibility, some project that is completed and it's ending, or you just let it go, you know. And then we have on the 20th Venus entering Aquarius, and it will stay there till the middle of January. So from the 20th of December till the middle of January for you Aries, Venus being in the Aquarius, wherever Venus goes, we receive some help, some positive development, something happening more easily there. Well, the 11th house is social situations, friends. So for some of you might have good time with friends. Starting from 20th is fantastic time, for example, if you wanna, and because Mercury is in your ninth house of traveling, travel with friends, or go party with friends, or go to social events and networking events. It's not necessarily your closest buddies that the 11th house rules. Actually, these are more acquaintances and people that you can network with who have similar goals to yours. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be in face-to-face. 11th house can be through social media. You can join some group, some club, some page or whatever that connects you to the right people, and those connections can be beneficial for you. So till the middle of January, I advise you strongly to build connections with others. Something really good can come there from you there, and something good that can expand your opportunities, especially opportunities for material gain or for recognition in the public. And for others, it can just mean more pleasant times in social interactions, or even some bonus or gainfulness, because the 11th house is gains, bonus, salaries, and such type of things. Okay, so that's about it, Aries. Quite a bit of, there are lots of transits happening. As I said, we talked about the eclipse as well. But summed up, altogether, this is it. And if you want more in depth to see how this Jupiter Saturn develops through 2020, check out the video horoscopes that I have created for each of the 12 signs. They're $9.99 only for 2-hour video almost for each sign. Or you can also order your 2020 calendar, 180 pages electronic calendar with the most important astrology events. Thank you.